Hey guys, Bradley Williams, Land Pro with Realtree United Country Hunting Properties and owner of Buckhaven Land Solutions. And in this video, we're going to be showing how to establish a cool season food plot of cereal grains and clovers. We're going to talk about the specific mix that we're using here in our plot, but the method shown in this video will apply to any cool season grain and clover mix that you want to plant. So the specific mix that we're going to be using this year is going to be a awnless variety of winter wheat, crimson clover, arrowleaf clover, and a red clover blend. And the benefit of this is this mix should provide some sort of forage from germination all the way through the end of summer of the following season. And if everything goes well, these clovers have really strong self-reseeding capabilities. So even though these are annual clovers, they have the potential to last for at least 2 seasons with proper management. So the rate per acre that we're going to be planting, the awnless winter wheat is going to be planted at 40 pounds per acre, and that's 40 pounds of live seed. We have another video on our channel that you can watch to figure out how to calculate that live seed and the amount of finished product that you actually have to plant to achieve the correct amount of live seed. But anyway, the crimson clover is going to be the Dixie variety of crimson clover, and it's going to be at 10 pounds per acre. The arrowleaf is going to be the Apache variety of arrowleaf clover, again 10 pounds per acre. And then the red clover is going to be a blend of red clover that our local seed supplier sells, that's specially formulated for our climate here in Georgia. And it's actually a biennial clover, so with proper management it should last 2 seasons. And the reason we're using this mix is the maturity dates of these clovers complement each other to provide that almost year-round forage. The winter wheat and the crimson clover in this mix will start to come up over deer season. The winter wheat will act as a cover crop for these clovers. It'll establish really quickly and provide some food and help buffer the clovers as they're a little bit slower to establish. So, but throughout the winter, the wheat and the clovers will begin to establish. In the spring, the crimson clover will flower and put out seed late spring, probably May to early June, and then it'll put out its seed, and then it'll die back. But at that same time, the arrowleaf and the red clovers are going to be really starting to take off, and the arrowleaf clover will grow and put out seed midsummer, and then the red clover will continue to grow on in till the beginning of fall. And with proper management, if we come back after the arrowleaf clover produces seed and we mow the field and we make sure we spray with herbicide if we need to, if we have problem weeds, that we take care of those, these annual clovers should do a pretty good job of reseeding and come back next fall. So we're going to walk you step by step through this process, and hopefully this video will help you guys out. So step 1 in seedbed preparation is to come out and mow the field. So we mowed this site yesterday, so we're about ready to go on to step 2, which is spraying glyphosate for weed control. All right, so a little word of advice here with food plotting is always start a week or 2 earlier than you think you're going to have to, because it never fails. Something's going to go wrong. I was hooking my sprayer up to go spray this field out here with glyphosate, and when I pulled out, I noticed that my boom was not acting right, and it was dragging, and I looked back, and the bolt that holds this thing to the frame had snapped. And so I mean, luckily this field that I'm spraying is here at the house, so I can just run down to the hardware store real quick, and I got all my tools and everything here to fix it, so not too much of a setback. But these are the things you got to think about. You know, if you'd been at a property, you know, an hour from your house and, you know, didn't bring some extra tools with you, or if, you know, you had to drive a little bit of a ways to get to a hardware store and you're trying to beat the weather and things like that, it could be a real setback. So just wanted to show you this, and you know, if something's going to go wrong, it will. So plan ahead. All right, it's September 9th, and as you can see, we sprayed our field with glyphosate last week, so we've got a week's worth of kill on the plot. Next week we've got a few good chances of rain coming in. There's anywhere from a 30 to 60% chance of rain. Some days calling for about 1/4 of an inch up to an inch, pretty much all week next week. So really I would normally prefer not to break ground until we're 2 weeks past the glyphosate application, because as you can see behind us, there's a few spots in here that we missed or didn't quite get a good kill on. And you know, normally I want to come back after a week about this time and hit the missed spots with another application, and then have another week following that for it to get a good kill down to the root. But sometimes you kind of have to balance all the different factors. Very rarely does it all play out perfect. So I'm kind of choosing to err on the side of rain, especially this time of year when sometimes you have really dry weather. Okay, so typically I like to start by chisel plowing. That gets down deep and breaks up any compaction that may exist to allow the root system of the food plot to expand. But we noticed a lot of the debris in the dead plant material was getting into the chisel plow and binding up. So we decided to take a pass with a disc to cut some of that debris to allow us to then come back with a chisel plow. And then after that pass with the chisel plow, we came back here with a second disking to prepare the seed bed to be ready to spread fertilizer and the wheat seed. All right, we've got our seed bed ready to start putting in the seed and the fertilizer. So how I like to do it, and you don't have to do it this way, but I like to spread my seed type separately. I like to spread the wheat and then the clovers and not mix them together. Can you mix them together? Absolutely. The reason I do it separate is just to make sure we get a very even spread, and that the difference in seed size doesn't cause some of the seed to sink to the bottom and spread unevenly on the field. And I have the luxury of being on a piece of property that I live on, so I've got plenty of time in the world, but if you're in a hurry, you can absolutely mix the seed together. So what we're going to do, the wheat can be planted a little bit deeper than the clovers. So we've left the seed bed fairly fluffy from disking. So the first thing we're going to do is come out here and spread our fertilizer. And most important step, always get a soil test and always add lime and fertilizer based on that soil test. Don't try to guess what you need. They're cheap, they're easy to do, so that's the most important step of this whole thing. So after we apply our fertilizer, then we're going to come back and broadcast our wheat seed. Then we're going to cultipack. Then we're to prepare that seed bed for your clover. Cultipacking for your clovers is really important. They really can't handle being planted any deeper than about 1/4 inch. So we're going to cultipack after the wheat seed. Then we're going to broadcast our clover seed and then cultipack again on top of that to get good seed to soil contact. So the cultipacking at the very end not only helps get good seed to soil contact, but it also helps retain moisture in the soil. You can do this without cultipacking. If you're planting clovers and you don't have a cultipacker, you can use a drag, or you could also just time it with a rain and just broadcast it on top and let a good heavy rain shift the soil to cover the seed. You never want to disc in clovers. You'll bury it too deep. So we've got our fertilizer in, we've got our wheat in, and we've cultipacked the field ready to accept our clover seed. A good rule of thumb for how firm you want your seed bed is if you step in the field and your heel goes down more than about an inch, the seed bed is too soft for clovers to do well. One thing I want to go over, and I have another video on this on my channel that you can watch, but I want to go over your percent of live seed. So in that video, I've shown the calculations for this plot. So long story short, we need 10 pounds per acre of the crimson, arrowleaf, and red clovers. And calculating the percent of live seed based on the coating weight and the product weight in the bags of clover, we need 20 pounds per acre of the red and arrowleaf and 25 of the crimson clover. Now the arrowleaf and red clover come in 5-pound bags, so we need 20 pounds of finished product, so we're just going to plant the 4 or 5-pound bags. The crimson clover, however, only comes in 50-pound bags. So you could say, okay, you need 25 pounds, 50-pound bag, let's plant half the bag. Well, it's really hard to tell by eyeballing it and by feel what half of that is, or the 25 pounds. If you're 5 pounds off, especially on the lean side, that can make a really big difference in the success of your food plot. So I always recommend measuring it out. You can get these hanging scales on Amazon. They're like $30. And you can also use those to weigh your deer and get your field dressed or live weights too. So that's a really handy thing to have. But we're going to go ahead and measure out our crimson clover weight to make sure we're planting the right amount. All right, well, we were actually in the process of bringing the tractor out here to do our final cultipacking, and we got one of those big downpours that they were calling for, so that was good luck. We've got all of our seed out. Normally I'd like to come over it with a final cultipacking just to get that good seed to soil contact, but we just had a really hard rain, and looking at it, I think it actually helped cover some of the seeds. So if we were to come back over this now, it would just make a big mud mess. So I think we're just going to let it ride and see what happens. A couple things that you could do different on this plot using conventional planting methods. If you don't have a cultipacker, you can go over with a light disking, and before you plant, just disc it and then just broadcast on top of that. And similar to what happened here, just wait for a good rain to help cover it up. Don't ever try to disc in clover seed. Almost every time you'll get it buried too deep. Another thing that could save you some time, like I said, we're trying to build a little bit of what organic matter we can in this soil. So we didn't burn this field off. We just mixed in with the disc that organic matter into the top layer. But if we would have burned this field off, it would have saved a couple passes on the disc and saved a little bit of fuel and time. So stay tuned to the channel. We'll post a video here in a couple weeks of what germination we get, and we'll keep you posted. I hope this video helps you guys out, and thanks for watching.